joy. Anytime I get to see Jaden Daniels play football, Lynnell, I'm going to be a happy camper. I am Denton Day. He is Lynnell Willingham. It is your Burgundy and Gold pregame show on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. There is then the added element that tonight is the first night where we get to see the beautiful, borderline orgasmic Super Bowl retro jerseys. And I would have been a very upset human being had anybody other than Jaden Daniels been playing quarterback the first time we see those jerseys. Washington's looking to get to 4-5, really looking to avoid being 3-6. Massive difference between the two of them. How are you, my friend? Another night game for us.
Nervous. Well rested because it's nighttime, but nervous. Gotta have it.
I mean, nervous could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be good nerves. It could be bad nerves.
I have an eerie feeling. And there we go. We're now both. These cameras are sharp. I'm about to say, we get the
Thank
debut.
God I put lotion on today.
We get the debut of B. Mitch and Finley on Monumental Sports tomorrow. So make sure you all check out that as well. But yeah, I think it's good nerves, Denton. We'll get into our keys to the game as we roll throughout this one. But I saw our guy Disco in Laurel, frequent caller of both 980 and 106.7 The Fan. He called in and said, "I'm tired of us making every opponent seem unbeatable." And I said, you know what,
Correct.
Disco?
That's
I'm tired of us
right.
making every opponent feel unbeatable. Seattle's a tall task, though, tonight. Once again, for the second consecutive week, you're going up against a really good football team, really good defense, but it's still Sam Darnold. So we'll see. Maybe tonight is the night that the other shoe drops. And I got Mike Tolbert, 1189 in the chat, says, got to have this one, backs against the wall. I echoed these sentiments a bit. That's really close. I echoed those sentiments a bit last week. And my thing is, like, you can't fake desperation in pro sports. And I think Washington clearly is the more desperate team. We'll see if they play like it coming out here tonight.
You know, I'm really glad that that's a great point that Disco brings up. And it's something that I do think we need to spend a little bit of time on, because this week has been a unique one. It has felt like the sky is falling, or at least there have been people inside of the fan base that have tried to make it feel like the sky is falling. And I understand it to an extent. The defense is not very good. We knew that, though. We knew the defense was not going to be exceptional, and the sky is always going to feel like it's falling if Jaden Daniels is not playing. And I'm not all that intrigued with the record of the other team on the other side. That doesn't bother me that much, because on Sundays, it doesn't really matter. I care about what Washington's going to do, what they're going to be able to do, and I care about what Jaden Daniels is going to be able to do. And you do need to have the reminder of it is Sam Darnold on the other side. And I am not buying into any sort of propaganda that Sam Darnold is a great quarterback. I know what we saw last year, but I focus way more on the important stuff, which was at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season. Yeah. Now, defensively for Seattle, that's what I would be worried about, because they are as good as you get on defense, and that's with big-time players having missed time. But I'm not – if you can turn the ball over, you can force 2 turnovers when Mahomes is throwing, I'm not concerned all that much with one Sam Darnold.
It's going to be interesting. I think the key for – one of the keys that we'll get to coming up in our keys to the game is making them one-dimensional, and they have not been very efficient running the football all year long with the combination of Kenneth Walker and then Zach Charbonnet, but they're still running it at one of the highest clips in the NFL, meaning they're kind of waiting for it to get going. I know Washington in years past, and maybe even games past this year, have been teams get-right game. Do not be the get-right game, because if you allow their running game to get going, Sam Darnold has functioned pretty well this year, playing one-dimensional football pretty much. So if you allow their running game to get going, I think they become that much more difficult to stop. And now as we're talking about things that can make them lose, Denton, guess what I am? Now I'm a bad nervous.
Why are you bad nervous? Oh, literally just from talking?
Just from talking about it, bro.
Just from speaking it out loud?
Because I'm thinking about reasons that, this could go awry tonight. I go back to what I said a moment ago. I think the desperation that Washington should be playing with and that they came out with in that first half against Kansas City, you hope that's able to translate here tonight at home, retiring Art Monk's jersey, 50 Cent's in the house. I mean,
why is 50 Cent here?
No clue. No clue why 50 Cent's here. But he's in the house. I wonder if Magic made the flight. Is Magic here?
I would hope so.
I mean,
he stayed up late last night, But
got plenty of airtime.
Yeah, sleep on the plane, make his way over here to DC. It's an important night. I do think the Art Monk Memorial, or not memorial, because that would mean he's dead. He's not dead. But the Art Monk honoring is a very big part of this. They've already honored Santana Moss this year, and they won the football game. I do think when you get to a position where you were honoring your legends, it is kind of imperative to win those games. Because the worst thing you can do when honoring an all-time great in your franchise is go out there and get punked. Yeah. It cannot happen, especially on primetime, especially on Sunday Night Football. The eyes are going to be on the game, one, because Jane Daniels is back, but I do think that nationally people are starting to pay more attention to Seattle because of the record, because of Jackson Smith and Jigbo, which we are going to have. I mean, if you want to talk about reasons that they could lose, JSN is a pretty massive reason for that, but I just want to remind everybody that Jane Daniels is playing today. And we have seen over the course of the last 3 games for him, while he's not perfect by any stretch, you're seeing much more of the Jane Daniels we were hoping to see. And I don't really know what capacity, Deebo Samuel is going to be available in for Washington. He has not been himself in recent weeks because of the heel injury. But if Jane Daniels is playing quarterback, you're always going to have a fighting chance. And really what it comes down to is Jane Daniels versus Sam Darnold. And I'm going to take Jane Daniels 11 times out of 10.
All day long.
It's not even, I don't put any thought into the idea that Sam Darnold is someone that I would take in that instance. It's Jane Daniels or bust.
Yeah, and I think, tonight in particular, while Seattle's really good defensively, they're the number 1 rush defense in the NFL, so those looking for Washington's, lifeless ground game to get started and get back revived tonight, probably not going to happen, but Seattle 23rd against the pass. So Treylon Burks, hopefully, going to make his Commanders debut tonight. I don't think they elevate him off the practice squad to then make him inactive.
That would be silly.
He's got to come up and make plays, man. And when you think about, and Denton, you're a college football expert here. When he was in college, this is a kid that's 6'2", that can track the ball down the field. He's a 4-5 guy, so he's not a burner, but he's really good as a contested catch guy. He was a high school outfielder, so the kid can track the football. I'm hoping Jayden Daniels can get him going.
I hope so. Because he was good in college. For those that have not watched Treylon Burks, he was good in college. He did all the things that you just mentioned. I don't need a burner. I just need someone that can create separation.
Don't get it, man.
Because Jalen Lane is fast. Luke McCaffrey is fast. They struggle to create separation. I want Treylon Burks to be able to create some separation. I don't care how fast he is. I need that element from him, and I need a deep shot. I do think, as you mentioned, the tracking of the football is massive. I'm cautious to put too much into the basket of thinking that Treylon Burks is going to be a world beater. I think he's very much in what I call the redemption window for a first-round pick. If it doesn't work in the first place, someone else is going to take a chance on you, and that's what Washington is doing. I would point out that Tennessee drafted him all those years ago in the hopes that he would just replace A.J. Brown.
Silly thinking.
Obviously did not happen, but they did see some stuff in him that led them to believe there were some traits that would, this could be, something similar to that of A.J. Brown. Again, not asking for that tonight for Washington.
No.
If he can catch 3 balls and have, let's just say, 40 yards, that's a productive night. Hell, if he can catch 3 balls for 33 yards, if you're averaging 11 yards per catch as a guy that's literally coming off the practice squad and really hasn't played a lot of NFL football, I'm going to consider that to be a win for the operation. But I am optimistic that he might be able to make some sort of play because at the very least, he's a little bit more trustworthy than some of the other guys on the roster right now. I'm having issues right now. My biggest thing this week, Lynnell, is that I've been having some issues trusting in Jalen Lane. The drops suck. And you cannot, the one thing that Washington has done an awful job at, well, there's more than one, but the one thing on offense they've done an awful job at, you can't drop the football. No. And he had an opportunity last week, not that it would have made or broken the game against Kansas City. I mean, the Chiefs are really good. That just is what it is. But you can't have these drops, and that goes for the special teams, but that goes on the third downs, too. He had an opportunity to redeem himself from that weird, a kickoff situation where he dropped it, then kind of let it go out of bounds, and then he's like, what is happening? You got to catch the football. Yeah. And especially if you are operating at a lesser at wide receiver because you don't have Terry, you got to catch the football.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury had an opportunity this week to give kind of a vote of confidence to Jalen Lane and the entire receiving corps, and he chose the high road. He was asked, do they have a deep threat right now on the roster? And he said no. So he's waiting for somebody to step up
He
and
chose the honest route.
be
that's
that
for
guy.
sure.
Yeah. He even mentioned De'Ami Brown.
I did see that, and I'm actually mad at Cliff for saying that. But go on. I'll tell you why I'm mad at that in a second.
I think he was being, like you said, brutally honest, and it's something that has to get better for this Washington Commanders receiving core. It will open up things in the run game. You won't be able to see as many 8 and 9 man boxes, but I don't know, man. Something's got to give on the perimeter, and we look at Jalen Lane as that guy. Luke McCaffrey, while it feels like he's had this like offensive eruption, he's had 3 catches over the last 3 games. So
yeah, that
he's gotta
eruption
get back on.
is not as, shall we say, climactic as you would hope. Because it feels like Luke is having a better year. There have been some plays where you're like, oh, I trust him now a little bit more than I did last year.
Sideline catch he had last week was bonkers.
Sideline catch was fantastic. There was the catch in Atlanta that was really nice. There was the deep ball that he caught earlier this year that was really nice. So he's done some really good things, but there's nowhere near as much consistency as you would like. And you need to be more consistent. It felt like he was starting to gain some consistency, and then there was the game where he literally didn't catch a single pass. In fact, he was barely thrown to, and it was like, whoa, it was the Dallas game where they did not have Terry or Debo.
Played a lot of man.
Whoa, hey, what's going on here? If you can't beat man coverage, it's going to be a very tough thing for you in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's still figuring it out at wide receiver. I think the reason why I think we're so optimistic about him now and why the conversation has changed and why I look stupid if I call him a bust, he's been really good as a kick returner, and he's provided you some spark.
All-pro.
Some sparks with your special teams.
Like, that's not even tongue-in-cheek. I mean, he's having an all-pro caliber season at kick return.
Yeah.
Every time he touches it, it's at least the 35-yard line. Every single time. Yeah. To the fact where they literally, Kansas City stopped kicking to him.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll try Jalen Lane on the other side, and it worked out for them. Can I tell you why I was mad that Cliff mentioned De'Ami Brown here?
Why is that?
It's not like De'Ami Brown is balling in Jacksonville. So
well,
he mentions
is just anemic.
Their offense is anemic, but he has 16 catches for 194 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like he's balling.
A deep threat, though.
He is a deep threat, though, but he's not balling. Maybe he would be better if he was here, but I didn't love that Cliff mentioned his name. I did not. I
don't love that he can't mention the other guys' names in the room because because they're so inconsistent.
They struggle.
Yeah.
Struggle is what he was going to say.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat says, what is Antonio Gandy Golden doing?
Probably doing brain surgery.
I think he's getting his master's or his PhD or something like that. So someone's going to need to step up at wide receiver. I'm hoping we see a resurgence of old Debo Samuel, that can catch 8 passes and be explosive. Not having Terry out there is going to suck. I found it was this beautiful sense of irony and validation to some of us when Terry caught that touchdown pass, because you saw, basically Debo had the same opportunity literally the play before, and he was not able to corral it. And then you saw Terry do it, and it's like, oh, that's right. Like, as much as we have been very critical of him on these airwaves for what happened this summer, and as much as people have been very critical of him on social media for what has happened this summer, you see the touchdown pass that he caught after Debo could not do it, and you're like, oh, that's right. He is pretty good. He was pretty well deserving in some way, shape, or form of the money that was paid to him. He just hasn't been healthy this year. And you've seen him make a bunch of crazy catches in the games that he has played when they throw to him, including the one that he got hurt on the first time. Then you have that sideline catch last week, there are not a lot of receivers in the NFL that can make that catch. He is an elite, tough catch maker. So not having him is going to be very difficult. And I have a feeling that Seattle is going to play a lot of man coverage today.
Yeah. So I got to go back and look at the transactions. When they signed Robbie Chosen back, is he back on the practice squad, or is he only active?
Let me go look back here. I believe he was back to the practice squad, and then they will make a decision as to whether or not they bring him up. But I don't know that they signed him back to the full-time roster.
Well, they announced Burks and Shelton Day as the 2 call-ups for the game, so I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. I brought that up to say there's opportunity here at wide receiver. There is. If someone's going to, whether it's an out-of-house guy coming in here and making a name for himself, or Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey making a name for themselves, the opportunity's there. Terry's going to be out a while. Saw the report earlier this morning from Ian Rappaport that he's probably not going to play next week, and he's probably not going to play versus the Dolphins. So you're looking at a potential post-bye week return. We'll see if Pat Surtain is back for that matchup against the Denver Broncos.
Please no.
But I say all that to say, like, there is a window here for someone to step up at the wide receiver position. I'm hoping Treylon Burks steps up. He is the most talented wide receiver on this roster, not named Deebo Samuel. Just from a pure talent standpoint, he's got it.
He's got it.
It's about putting it all together.
I am hoping selfishly that we do not have to have that conversation again, because it's now been 4 weeks in a row where we've had that same conversation.
The Terry thing, or someone stepping up?
Someone's stepping up.
I feel like it's the name of the pregame show.
And it basically is.
Step Up Crew.
It's the Burgundy and Gold pregame show, Step Up edition.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think we're two-stepping in the studio, the way that we talk about that. All right, when we get back, we're going to give you some keys to a victory for Washington. Kevin Sheehan is going to join us at 7:30. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy and Gold pregame show on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Kevin Sheehan going to join in 10 minutes. This general NFL music, I feel like hits a little bit differently today, Lynnell, because our team is wearing the old school uniforms. This is going to be the first game where we get to see those beautiful white uniforms for Washington. The first time we get to see Jane Daniels in true burgundy and gold. I'm excited for that.
I am too. I want to see how he dresses up with it. I want to see who is going to use the socks to their advantage the best. So I think the socks is the sneaky thing about this whole thing. The red stripe and the gold stripe, the burgundy stripe and the gold stripe on the sock. Curious to see who swags it out. I don't know if that'll be Jayden. Maybe that's a wide receiver or something.
Probably wide receiver. Although he might get creative with some socks.
He may.
Maybe a DB. That feels like a DB thing. Yeah. Like it's not going to be a linebacker.
Is anyone going to tape their face mask in honor of Sean Taylor is what I would like to know.
Who is eligible to do that?
No one.
Because I don't know that I would. Well, Jayden could, but like a quarterback with a taped face mask would be kind of silly.
This is going to chat. I know we had a very eventful postgame last weekend, so hello. I've acknowledged you already here today. The way that Marshawn Lattimore's played over 3 of the last 4 weeks, if you take away the Dallas game, I would be okay with that.
Okay. Interesting. I don't hate it.
He's a captain tonight.
He is a captain tonight. That does worry me because Jackson Smith and Jigba is pretty good, which I will get to in my keys to the game. I got 2 of them, Lynnell. I'm going to start on the offensive side. This is something we have been hammering home for quite some time, but because you do not have Terry today, and I have to be honest, I'm a little bit more skeptical in recent weeks of the run game. I need everything on first down to be positive. Yeah. So that's key number 1. I need positive plays on first downs. I cannot have 1-yard runs. I cannot have blown up screen plays that leave you in 2nd and 11 or 2nd and 10. I need everything to be positive on first down. This team has struggled immensely to get ahead of the sticks for the entirety of the season. And that's the reason why we don't see them go for it on 4th down a lot, because they're never in positions where it is a fourth and go for it a bull, right? There are not a lot of 4th and 3s, 4th and 4s, things of that nature. It feels like it's always 4th and 8s and 4th and 9s because they find themselves in 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s. I need positive plays on first down every single time. And I think you can do that with Jayden Daniels, but that puts a lot of pressure on Cliff Kingsbury. He needs to understand the flow of the game tonight and really be a step ahead of it. I don't want a reaction-based Cliff Kingsbury game plan tonight. I want a anticipation Cliff Kingsbury game plan tonight. And I think if you do that, you're going to put yourself in position to come out victorious. So I need everything to be positive on first down.
I think that's interesting. I think that's going to be huge for them the rest of the way, man. Like, they can't continue to get behind the sticks. I have not checked the updated 3rd down numbers. They were pretty good on 3rd down last week, to their credit.
They were.
But they came into that week ranked 29th. It's been slow for them. So I agree with you there. My key actually goes to this Commanders offensive line. They have to keep Jayden Daniels upright. I know Laremy Tunsil did not practice much this week because of the hamstring injury that he suffered last week. Josh Connolly, you can't let Nwosu ruin the game. You can't let Tank Lawrence dominate you. If there's one area that you can take advantage of the Seattle Seahawks defense, it is when they drop back or when you drop back to pass. They're the 23rd ranked pass defense in the National Football League, but in terms of getting after opposing teams' quarterbacks, they're in the top 10. So it's one of them things where if you give him the time, talking about Jayden Daniels, he should be able to carve them up, but we'll see if he gets the time.
To answer your question, because of how well they were last week, they're 17th now.
Wow.
In
they
the
jumped
NFL.
12 spots.
So it was a very big jump. Now, it is very much like hit or miss with some of these 3rd down things. But yeah, so they jumped tremendously. I very much agree with you. I am a little worried about Josh Connolly. They're going to put a lot of pressure on him. They're going to line him up. They're going to line guys up on top of him. And I don't know that he has been as bad as people want to make him out to be, but he also has not been as good as mentally I am hoping that he would have been to this point in this season. So he's in that weird middle ground, especially with some rumors that potentially Andrew Wiley could garner something in return on the trade block. You know that Connolly is going to be, at least you're going to try and make him your future. We don't know that he will be, but you're going to try and make him your future. Teams could be interested in Andrew Wiley, and depending on what happens tonight, Washington could be forced into making a move there. So I want to see Connolly perform a lot better. Here's my second key. This is a defensive key. Stop Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's easier said than done. I get that.
Should have told him to. I mean, you might as well told him to hold him scoreless.
Pretty much. But I need you to stop Jackson Smith and Jigba. over the last 3 weeks, he has been, if he's not been the best wide receiver in the NFL, he's been pretty damn close. If he's not been the entire source of their offense, he's been pretty damn close. I mean, listen to these numbers. 3 weeks ago against Tampa Bay, 8 catches, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Against Jacksonville, 8 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. And then last week against Houston, or their previous game against Houston, 8 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. He's been really, really good. That's easier said than done, but Marshawn Lattimore is the captain this week. And I know sometimes it feels like they pick him out of a hat, but I do feel like Dan Quinn decided that Marshawn Lattimore this week, because of the way that he's played over the past few weeks, which has been a lot better than those on social media would like to make it out to be. He had that interception last week. I thought he played well last week. They need to stop him. If Cooper Kupp beats you, I'm kind of okay with that, as long as Jackson Smith-Njigba is not the one that's dicing you up.
Hope it's not Torrey Horton that beats us today. I don't know if Cooper's going to give it a go. When they put out their cryptic 3 a.m. insider tweets, there was an unlikely next to Cooper Kupp. So we'll see whether or not he's able to play. I know he helps him out in the screen game as well. My final key will be for this Washington Commanders defense. Seattle wants to run the football, but they're not good at it at all on the year. They're one of the worst rushing offenses in the NFL in terms of efficiency, but they do run it. They have the highest rush rate in the NFL. I think it's like 53.6%. So they're not trying to put it all on Sam Darnold, even though a lot of the times it is put all on Sam Darnold. Don't let them get going tonight. You've had some real issues defending runs outside of the tackles here over the past several weeks. Put an end to it, right? Jacob Martin played really well last weekend. Can we get another performance? We saw the 3-4 defense and that 5-man front be used a lot more. How creative can Joe Witt Jr. get tonight?
I agree with that. To those in the chat asking, I don't think we've seen an official status on Cooper Kupp yet, though, as Lynnell mentioned, most people have said he is unlikely. We will wait till we get official word, just in case Seattle wants to pull one over on Washington. When we get back, Kevin Sheehan's going to jump on with us. We'll get his thoughts on this game. He joins us when we return. He is Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It is the Burgundy and Gold pregame show on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980.
Bow, bow. It's a good tune.
It is a good tune. I'm hoping it leads Washington to victory tonight. It's the Burgundy Gold pregame show, Denton, and Lynnell, Willingham. For those that are intrigued and maybe not around a television, the Bills are up big over the Kansas City Chiefs, 28-13. That's the only important other game that's going on right now because I don't care about the Jags and the Raiders, and you don't care about the Jags.
Oh, my God. They scored. It's 16-13.
He's the one person that cares because he has a parlay going on here. So we'll keep you updated on that for those that care about Lynnell's parlay. Right now, we got our guy Kevin Sheehan on the phone here. He joins us every single week on the pregame show. Kevin, this one feels like a big one. Maybe not must win for Washington, but like you really got to win for Washington.
Yeah, it may not be must win mathematically, but at this point in the season, a 4-game losing skid's going to seem like the end of the year, and it's going to be 3-6 with Detroit coming in now off of a loss. I mean, they showed vulnerability today for sure. The Lions did. And look, the NFL's crazy. I mean, Carolina wins at Lambeau today. You know, you get the Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy winning. You just can't predict how these things will end up, week to week, but you got to hang in there, and 4-5 is a better hang than 3-6.
Certainly is. Laramie Tunsil, Kevin, was on the injury report all week with a hamstring. Just knowing what Seattle has been this year defensively, how important is it for them to be able to keep Jayden Daniels clean here tonight? Because I think if they can, Kevin, he has a chance to have a big night through the air.
Yeah, their only chance tonight is to, move the football, keep the football, and score with the football. I mean, if you've got 11 drives in the game tonight, they're going to have to score on 6 of them. I mean, it's that simple. 6, 7 maybe, because Seattle's really good. You guys know this. Seattle's better than most people really understand. I don't know that our fans know how good they are. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Yeah. They have right now maybe the best receiver in the game in terms of the way he's playing. They're very good defensively, especially up front in that front 7. Leonard Williams is a part of it. DeMarcus Lawrence is a part of it. Smith and the Jig was crazy good. Now Cooper Kupp, it looks like he's out. They're just good everywhere. I mean, the DVOA metric has them number 2 in the league, the second best team in the league. Now, the best team in the league lost today, Indianapolis. So maybe the second best team in the league will lose today. But yeah, they're excellent. And tonight it's about the offense and Jayden being back, which gives you a shot.
So with that said, how important, what my key to the game, Kevin, was that they have to have positive plays on first down. How important are those early downs to make sure that Washington can put together your 12, 13, 14 play drives?
Yeah, I said this last week, Denton, that first down is going to be so huge every time they take possession of the football. Because I think we've gotten into this, understanding of Cliff and Jayden when he's out there. They get that first down and they get into a rhythm and they keep the defense out onto the field and they can start running some of the stuff they really want to run. And so that first down on that first drive and getting that first down, I think is so huge. Because if not, people will be complaining about the play calling, but you can't get to the plays that you want to get to if you don't get that first down. And so I think that's going to be huge tonight.
Do you feel like they should use tempo early? Because it feels like when they get into tempo at the late stages of the first half, they finally start to get into a rhythm. Do you think they should open out of the gate with tempo?
I think they use tempo out of the gate. Sometimes, not out of the gate. I think it all depends. I mean, you're not going to see them huddle much. It's a matter of you really only refer to it as up tempo if they're snapping the ball with say more than 10 on the play clock, right? So that's them more times than not. It's the way they want to keep the packages that they want on the field defensively, and yeah, I mean I think that's how they want to play.
Kevin,
but Mahomes just turned it over again. This is going to turn into a blowout.
This is going to be a bloodbath.
Well, this is what happens in the regular season, but then postseason comes around. And, this offensive line, I go back to it. Josh Connolly last weekend. I mean, George Karlaftis is not viewed as a premier pass rusher, but he's very, very good. DeMarcus Lawrence is having a good year. Nwosu's getting after the quarterback. Are you worried about Josh Connolly at all tonight? And then how good of a job do you think Cliff has done protecting him here in this stretch of play?
Yeah, I mean, I think Connerly's had up and down moments, but this offensive line, it should be, when you consider the whole team, it's not the weakness of the team, because most of those are on the other side of the ball.
Right.
With Cosme being back, I think the interior is strong. Biotish, Paul, and Cosme should be good. Your tackles, have to play well. Tunsil's got to be healthy, although Coleman played well last week. But yeah, I mean, Connerly's been up and down. I don't, when you say protect him, I mean, you're going to chip with tight ends. You're going to chip and have him go out. You're going to use McNichols there. I guess. I mean, Seattle gets after you, and they get after you most of the time with 4. This is not a big blitz team. They can stop the run without loading the box, and then they can get pressure without blitzing. So it's going to be huge. I'm watching Kansas City Buffalo, and I'm wondering, how did Kansas City just get the ball
back after the fumble?
Yeah. So it was called incomplete.
It was incomplete?
Yeah, it was incomplete, okay. And then Mahomes just hit Hollywood Brown on a crazy throw. Did we jump the gun a little bit on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? Because it does feel like he's been a little bit more average as of late.
Denton, our fan base, us included, we jumped the gun on
Kevin,
everybody.
we were late now. Me and you, I think we were a little late to the party, but
I mean, over the summer, all I heard, even from everybody that was out there every day, is, "Oh my God, this secondary might be one of the best in football." Trey Amos has a chance at Defensive Rookie of the Year. They are just a completely different room on that back end, and then which is every year we just have to remind ourselves, nothing we see, in July and August means anything. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, I think we may have jumped the gun. I mean, he was a 7th-round pick for a reason. I do like him. I think he's got good vision. I think he's got good feel. And they should be able to run the ball better than they've run the ball here over the last couple of weeks. And although I think it's going to be really difficult to run it tonight.
Yeah, I think the offensive line's got their hands full. This feels like if they don't play up to their standard, it has a chance to get ugly. And I mentioned, guys on the perimeter that they have. Byron Murphy is the big reason to me why they're playing the run so well, splitting double teams, getting upfield. I mean, he has been a disruptor. And we've seen, Biotish and the interior of this line struggle against certain guys. They're going to have to put on their big boy pants tonight.
Yeah, Murphy's played to that level that he got drafted at now. He is really a disruptor, like you said, and Leonard Williams is having a great year. Lawrence is having a great year. They've got some pass rushers. This is a really, being truthful, if you looked at it objectively and you've been watching both teams, you would say this is not a great matchup for Washington.
No.
They have a wide receiver that can't be checked. They have that quick Shanahan, pass game off the play action, off the zone run. They are a Shanahan style, offense with Kubiak. We know the issues that Quinn has had with Shanahan style offenses, including this year with LaFleur and with Zach Robinson in Atlanta. They're off a bye week. Washington's coming in, off the short week without, debatably their second best, offensive player. And so this is not a great matchup tonight, but you still got to go out there and hang it on Jaden Daniels. You did it last year. There were a lot of those games were bad matchups going in last year, and he was able to elevate and basically overcome. Not the same schedule, not the same quarterbacks they faced last year, but this is a night for Jaden Daniels to return and have a big night and lead them to a win.
Kevin, we know turnovers come in bunches. This is a final one from me. Do you think they force Sam Darnold into some bad throws that they can take advantage of?
The one thing about Sam Darnold is that over the years, no one's questioned his ability to throw the football. It's why he got drafted so high. It's his processing and every once in a while his decision-making. We saw it at the end of last year in Minnesota when they just absolutely, in their final 2 games, he basically soiled himself in back-to-back games. He just couldn't see it. He couldn't process it. He took sack after sack. It was a turnover thing. We haven't seen that in Seattle, in part because Najigba is always open.
Yeah.
Like, he comes off the line of scrimmage and creates separation immediately. And they protect well. And by the way, guys, tonight, they have not run the ball that well this year, but I could see tonight them getting healthy with Walker and Charbonnet, because we can't stop edge runs, and we know what a Shanahan style, zone run, outside zone run looks like. But
what? But now we're supposed to tell them why we're supposed to win, right? You're right. You've hit it right on the head. It's a horrible matchup for Washington.
It's not a good matchup in a lot of different ways. But Jaden's back. Debo's at least out there. It would be better to have both Debo and Terry. And offensively, you've got a chance to compete. And maybe it's one of those nights where Darnold throws a couple up for grabs, and you catch them, and it ends up being the difference in the game. I think red zone's going to be huge.
Yes.
Seattle is 4th in red zone defense. Washington 2nd, believe it or not, in red zone offense. They got to score touchdowns. I think they can move it between the 20s, but when they get down there, they're going to have to score touchdowns, because I don't know if we can stop them from scoring too many.
So who wins?
I mean, I just picked us because I just have a hunch. Desperate teams in the NFL, they play that way. This is the kind of urgency they had on Monday night times 2. And the good news is they've got their best player back tonight, a quarterback. So I think he has a big night, and they win a shootout.
Kevin, appreciate it as always. We look forward to your reaction to the game tomorrow morning.
This hit just stressed me out, Kevin. I'll be honest.
Fingers crossed. See you, boys.
That is Kevin Sheehan. You can hear him Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on the Team 980 as the host of the Kevin Sheehan Show. The Junkies will swing by at 7. Toby Altizer in studio at 7:15 as we continue to preview tonight's matchup. Can Washington get to 4-5 on the season? He is Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy and Gold pregame show on the Team 980 and 106.7 The Fan.
I just
this is not a Chiefs pregame show, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, Lynnell. But we just watched Patrick Mahomes convert a 4th and 17. That's an insane thing that just took place.
He's doing ridiculous things because he's a ridiculous man.
He took about a 27-step drop. Yeah, I mean, he ran like 18 yards backwards, and they still converted it. I just needed to make light of that situation because that's a crazy thing. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. We are pre-gaming the Commanders and Seahawks. Might actually be pre-gaming by the end of this thing. If anyone wants to send us a little bit of the adult beverages, please feel free to do so. Washington taking on Seattle. They're looking to get to 4-5 on the season. Really, more than anything, they're looking to avoid going to 3-6. Because while 4-5 is not a great record to have, the difference between 4-5 and 3-6 feels like a tremendous gap. It is. Washington needs to avoid the worst of the two.
I know people got frustrated with me last week because I said it didn't matter, the Kansas City game, because it was non-conference. This is in the conference. You lose tonight, you fall to 1-5 in the NFC, and it makes it pretty clear that your most clear and obvious route to making the postseason, and I know that seems laughable to some people, that word, it would be by winning the division. So you got to win tonight if you want to have a chance here to save your season. And I meant to ask Kevin this on the way out. I'll ask you this here briefly while we've got some time and we can surf through some things. Does tonight dictate Tuesday at 4 p.m.?
Yeah.
Like, are you turning into a seller?
Not a seller, but you have to make a very tough decision as to whether or not the season is salvageable. At 4-5, the season is still very much ahead of you.
On the flip side of that, do you buy if you win?
That I am
depending on who's there.
It depends on who's there. I mean, the thing is about the season being salvageable and what happens on Tuesdays. It's not like you have an abundance of talent. Like, people might be interested in Andrew Wiley, but you're not getting a haul for Andrew Wiley. You can get like maybe a 4th round pick if you're lucky.
That would be rich.
Like, that'd be rich, right? So it's probably a 5th or a 6th, maybe a 7th, maybe 2 7ths. Maybe somebody wants Deron Payne, but I have no idea what his value is. You'd be looking to shop him to somebody that is going to be in the postseason and feels like they're just like one piece away on the defensive line. Maybe because Lattimore's been playing well, you shop him. I don't think you're going to shop Debo, but maybe you shop him. Like, there's just really not an abundance of talent, which is what happens when you have a bunch of mercenaries on the team, which is the 1-year contracts. You're not getting a lot in return for some of these guys on 1-year deals, particularly when a majority of these guys on 1-year deals are older. Like, no one. I saw some sort of post about Washington being aggressive at the trade deadline, and the picture was Bobby Wagner. Like, no one in the NFL is going to be trading for a linebacker like Bobby Wagner, who at this point in his career can't run very well.
I think it's interesting. I wanted to get your thoughts. I have my own thoughts on it. I think if you win, even if you don't win, they need to be on the market for an edge rusher. If Jalen Phillips,
definitely,
or Jermaine Johnson, like, these are pieces that could be here for years on end, similarly to what you did last time.
Trey Henderson is not the answer, by the way. It's not Henderson.
Probably not. But I'd be interested. But he's probably not the answer. Like, if you can get a Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb's long in the tooth, Jermaine Johnson is the guy that keeps popping up. That basically, if I'm trading for somebody, Denton, I need them to be controllable for at least 2 more seasons.
You want to be trading for a guy that is going to be here for a while. This is not just an all the chips in the middle on this year,
which would make it feasible to give up 2027 capital, which has not been touched yet. You have all of
I
your
agree with
2027 picks.
Yeah, so that is something that they might look into. Yeah. We got the inactives for the Commanders. Nikki Javala just tweeted them out. Ooh. Not a lot of surprises here. Noah I is inactive for the 2nd week in a row. Josh Johnson is the emergency 3rd quarterback. No Terry, no Kane Moderno, but it looks like Ali Cahoe is going to be good to go. Trent Scott, George Fant, Colson Yankoff. So very similar to that of last week. Not a whole lot of massive surprises. Still a little, confused maybe about the Noah I situation and why he has fallen into the doghouse, not just in the last 2 weeks, but really what feels like this entire year, when the rumor was that they were trying to trade him during the offseason. But outside of that, there are no big, massive surprises here for Washington.
So much for everyone getting all geeked up last Friday when Joe Witt name dropped Kane Madrano with Jordan McGee. He's inactive again. Like, it's a 6th-round pick that just can't get active. I don't get it all the way. Brandon Coleman, though.
They like him.
I'm to the
Again,
hey,
I think.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. Depending on how Josh Connolly works, see what Brandon Coleman's got at right tackle. I can't just have a position on the field. Josh Connolly's like the weak link.
Yeah.
Like, and it sticks out like a sore thumb whenever he's lined up across from somebody that's got a pulse. Like, that's, and I know he's a first round pick, and I know tackle is not one of those instant gratification picks. But can you give me something, kid? You know what I'm saying? Can you show that you belong in the National Football League? Because last week, and I know there's some good, there's some bad, but like, dog, his bad, it always is so loud. It's always some game-changing play. A third down sack to where your drive ends. A false start to where now you're backed up. Like, that's interesting to me. I'm happy for Brandon Coleman that he's figured it out. I hope at some point Josh Connolly plays consistent football because he is the one guy up front that I am very quickly losing patience with because I didn't really love the pick when they made it.
Cooper Kupp is going to be out tonight for Seattle. That was 100% official. They're also going to be without Jake Bobo and I think it's Derek
Bobo
Young. So they're down 3 wide receivers. Seattle is, which is all the more reason why they should have help over the top for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Put a guy on him. Remember what Atlanta did last year to Terry? Do that to Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Respect him.
If you can do that, I think you might be in a decent position if you were Washington. The Seattle inactives, Darian Kendrick, Jalen Milroe's emergency third quarterback, no Cooper Kupp. Jake Bobo, as I just mentioned, Jared Ivey, and then swing tackle guard Mason Richmond is out as well. And then Young, the other wide receiver. So 3 wide receivers inactive for Seattle tonight. Again, just key in on Jackson Smith and Jigba. If he goes, I like him a lot. He's not like he's Jamar Chase, right? He's not there yet. So stop him. Find a way to stop him. Joe Witt should. I hope Joe Witt didn't sleep a lick this week, trying to figure out ways to stop him. And I need to see that geniusness come into fruition.
I do too. I mean, tough task. Kevin brought up my biggest fear for tonight, and I mentioned it right in the opening segment. They can't run the ball. They're not good at it. And I'm going to get you the official number here now. They're not very good at it, but they do it more than anybody. It's the craziest thing ever.
You're talking Seattle?
Yes. Like they're averaging 106 yards per game on the ground. They're averaging 3.7 yards a carry. That's bottom 5 in the NFL. But in terms of like their run rate, they're second, meaning they're going to stick with it. They're going to stick with it. And Lord knows all of a sudden we can't stop the run outside the tackles. That is my number one concern tonight because they're doing this through the pass game without their run game being effective. Let that get on track and Seattle becomes scary. Like Super Bowl scary.
I need Washington to be better at running the football. The past couple of weeks have not been very good. They were at one point the best running team in the NFL. They are now the 5th-ranked running team in the NFL. That's a pretty sizable gap or sizable fall when you consider it really hasn't been that many games. But the problem is that Jacory Krosky-Merritt has become a little bit more human. Not to say he was never not human, but we had high expectations. He balled out a couple of times. The hype for him only grew stronger and stronger. It was like the Force. And now he is much more human. You're like, all right, like we need to see a little bit more here. Something that's also on Cliff. Like give him the football. But also, let's see Chris Rodriguez. If Jacory Krosky-Merritt can't do it, put C-Rod in there.
I don't know if Herschel Walker could do it right now. They're just not getting much movement. They're not blocking the right people.
What's Adrian Peterson doing? You know what?
Well,
not a good time.
He's probably in shackles.
Yeah, that's on me. Didn't think. That one just kind of
just came off.
That just rolled off the tongue before I put the brain power to it. Yeah. All right, Junkie's going to swing by. We'll get their thoughts on the game. Toby Altizer are going to be with us at 7:15. Grant Paulson at 7:30. He is Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy Gold pregame show on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. It's a big one for Washington tonight. They're looking to avoid falling to 3-6 on the year. Good news is they get Jane Daniels back. He's going to be good to go. No Terry McLaurin tonight, but we knew that. It means Debo's going to have to step up. Treylon Burks is expected to play tonight, Lynnell, so I don't know what is a fair hope for him in his first game with Washington, but I need some plays to be made. The play don't care who make it, right?
It doesn't, but that's how you know we're down bad. We're relying on Treylon Burks. We're like actually.
You sound like me from an hour ago.
Yeah.
Everyone's losing their mind over this guy that didn't cut it in Tennessee and thinking that he's going to be the savior here. I'm not sold on that. I'm hoping that he can make plays, but I have no reason to believe outside of some Disney Channel fairy tale that this guy's going to be a great wide receiver in his first game with his new team. I mean, fingers crossed.
I mean, that's all I can do.
Can I pray a rosary before the game? We'll start our own little prayer circle here to see if Treylon Burks can be given the wisdom to run good routes. Like, we're going to need something along those lines here. I need Zach Ertz to be a lot better as well. It feels like Zach Ertz has not been nearly the guy that he was last year, and I didn't expect him to be as good because last year was very much we are very lucky to be getting this version of Zach Ertz. But I need him to be better. I need Sinnott to be better. There's a lot of guys I point to on offense and say, I need you to be just a little bit better. And I do feel like if some of these guys are just 1% to 2% better today, you're going to put yourself in a position because with Jane Daniels, all things are possible.
Yeah, he's got to stay protected, though. I think that's probably the big concern that I have is Seattle is really, really good up front. I don't think because they're Seattle and they're not in prime time a lot, we don't get to see them here a lot on the East Coast. They are nasty defensively. They're deep. They got about 6-7 guys that get after the quarterback at a high rate. We talked about Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams on the interior. I think if you can keep him upright, there are plays to be made in their secondary, but that's a massive if because they get after everybody.
That is a massive, massive if. Toby Altizer are going to join us in 10 minutes live in the studio. But now let's get out to the Junkies, get their thoughts on this matchup and whether or not Washington can pick up a primetime win.
All right, boys. Commandos have lost 3 in a row. This is a code red game. I'm not going to say it's a must win, but if they're going to get into the playoffs, they're going to need to right the ship soon. They face a Seattle Seahawks team that's traveling 3,000 miles. But this is a 5-2 team, a really good Seattle Seahawks team.
And they had the week off last week. I kind of forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Washington obviously played Monday night, so they got the short week. You're
wavering. I can see you wavering.
Yeah, when we had Scotty Abraham on Friday, when he mentioned that Seattle was on the bye. But you know what? They still have to travel. I'll tell you what, Jaden has to be Jaden of last year. He just has to. And I would disagree with JP. I think this is a must-win because if they lose and they're 3-6, they have to go 7-1 down the stretch to make the playoffs. And that's not happening. Not with this team.
Yeah.
So I think this is a Code Red must-win game, and Jaden is the factor. He's got to be Jaden of 2024.
And I understand the travel aspect, and I think there is an element of that, but this is a Seahawks team that's already taken 3 road trips and gone 3-0 in those road trips. So they're not intimidated about coming on the road. I know it's a long trip. I'm terrified, actually, of Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, how are the Commanders going to possibly slow him down? He's on track for nearly 2,000 receiving yards. He already has 4 touchdowns. He's probably the best receiver in the game right now. Like, that's a real handful for them to stop. And Sam Darnold picked up right where he left off in Minnesota last year, averaging over 9 yards per attempt. So it's going to be a tough defensive assignment for the Commanders.
I mean, I haven't looked at this, but how many receivers in the history of the NFL have had 819 yards in 7 games?
Not many.
I mean, that's a ton.
Yeah, he's on a tear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just tired of hyping up the opponent's players. I mean, the Seahawks are great, but, we do have some talent, too. And I feel like we're trending in the right direction. We got banged-up talent, but we also have some talent coming back. Jaden, I agree. He's got to find his cape. He's got to play like he did last year. Marshawn Lattimore shocked me last week. If he can back that up with another game, I mean, this guy was an elite corner just a few years ago. If he can back that up and have another good week, I feel like Quinn and this staff, they're relentless. They're not going to let this team give up. Part of the positive side of having such an old team is you have veterans that have been through this before, right? The Bobby Wagners, the Von Millers of the world. These guys have been through this. I feel like Jaden has a poise about him that he's not going to let the pressure get to him. I just feel I sense a bounce back moment here, and I feel like we can steal this game.
If Marshawn Lattimore has a good game, another one, and
would be
he
two.
and he makes a big play, maybe a pick, or plays well against JSN, whoever he's playing against.
Yeah.
You have to come back into the Lattimore fan club.
I don't know if I can.
small
For 2
group.
games?
And they win if they win.
For 2 games?
Yes.
All right, let's make our picks, boys.
Open invitation.
I'll lead off. Look, if I was to just look at the numbers, I would pick Seattle. They give up 75 yards per game on the ground. They've held every opponent to 20 points or fewer, except for Tampa Bay in Week 5. But I feel like Quinn has really challenged them, and though they lost by 21 against Kansas City, I actually thought they played with more energy, tied at the half. They played a really good team. I thought I saw a lot of good things. I think Washington gets the win at home, 23-20.
I thought you were going to pick Seattle. I agree with you. All the numbers say I'm wrong on this. I just think that they're going to find a way. I don't know why. Jaden has to play a great game. I just think they're going to find a way to win 27-24.
I think asking Jaden Daniels to beat this team without Terry McLaurin is too tall of an ask. And Debo has not been the same Debo that we saw out of the gate to start the season. I think the Seahawks improved to 4-0 on the road this season. They win at Northwest Stadium. Let's make it 28-21. And that's an over, I believe, just by a little bit.
Boo cakes. I understand the logic, but I agree with the other guys. I just feel like, believe it or not, this team's too good to lose 4 in a row. They're trending in the right direction. They created some turnovers last week. If they could do that again, if you could play half as good as they did in the first half, I think it'll be just enough. Got to score points, though. I'll take Washington 27-24 in a squeaker.
There you go. 3 of us have the Commanders winning, which hopefully will happen, which would make it for a fantastic Monday morning. If not, it's a misery Monday. Maybe we bring out the Titanic. Back to you, boys.
Thanks, boys. That's the Junkies giving their thoughts on the game here. This is a big one for Washington, Lynnell. We've talked about this from a bunch of different angles. And when we had Sheehan on 30 minutes ago, I thought he nailed it when he said, it's not a mathematical must-win. Sometimes I think must-win is used a little too often.
Yeah.
But it'd be really nice to win. It takes a lot of pressure off of the front office in terms of what they're going to do with this season if you win this football game. Because if you're 4-5, you're keeping it moving. Detroit just lost today. Maybe you can make it 2 in a row for them, and they can have their own little losing streak. You get back to 500. It's a lot easier to stomach if you win today. If you lose today, then you're in a little bit of trouble, and I don't know how you put the pieces back together.
Yeah, well put. You got to have it. Like, to me, this offense, to me, is the group that's, like, under the microscope. They've got to play well. They have, like, when we talk about rewinding back to August, like, why this team was going to be able to replicate last year's success, like, the conversation started and finished with this being a top 10 offense, at least. Some people thought we could be a top 5 offense with the new additions that we had. But, like, yeah, like, I think that's really the pressure is on. If you lose this one, your season is virtually over, man. Like, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it at all. Like, it's hard to climb out of that hole. Now, anything could happen. It's the National Football League. Injuries could happen. The starting quarterbacks on the rest of your schedule could break their knees.
I mean, we've seen runs. Obviously,
I don't want that type of run. I want to earn my way into the
There's
playoffs,
been one
you know?
here with, Robert did it in 2012, which I know we're kind of like over the comparison with Jaden and
Miss Regina's
and Robert, right? They're over it, but it completely eradicates any room for error. If you're 3-6, you have to win out, especially the way that everyone else is playing in the NFC. Your best bet would then be likely to win the NFC East, which you would still have 2 games with Philadelphia left, so it's very plausible, a game against Dallas and New York as well. So you're in control of your destiny in that particular regard. But then you also need Philadelphia to start losing some games in there as well. So the 6th loss puts a lot of pressure on your operation moving forward. Grant Paulson is going to join us coming up in about 20 minutes. But coming up next, live in studio, our guy Toby Altsizer is the host of Burgundy and Gold Postgame. He joins us next on the pregame show with Denton and Lynnell Willingham. It's the Burgundy Gold pregame show. Denton Day, Lynnell, Willingham. We are live from our studios in D.C. About an hour away from kickoff. Washington looking to get to 4-5 on the season. Joining us now is the voice you will hear on radio for the postgame show. Our guy, Toby Altizer. You can find him on Twitter at Toby_Altizer. If you're watching us on the stream, you see his face in all of its profound glory. Rocking a beard, too. Do you always have a beard?
Yes.
Oh. Well, it looks nice.
The hell have you been, pal? He's always never not had a beard.
Oh, I mean, he must have trimmed it up today. It looks better.
It looks okay.
It's these cameras, man.
It's mediocre.
The cameras make everything look better. What's your confidence level for? We've been kind of back and forth, a bit of a roller coaster ride. What's your confidence level for what Washington can do tonight against Seattle?
Jaden Daniels, 9 out of 10. Everyone else, like 3 out of 10. Like, that's pretty much it.
How does that average mathematically? Is that like a 6?
Maybe less than that. Maybe like 4.5.
4.5, I guess,
because
the weight of everybody
the defense
else
is like a 1.
Yeah.
You know, the offense without Jaden, I still think they can do something, but it's like a 3. Jaden brings everything else up. So with Jaden on the field, I think they've got a chance. If Jaden weren't playing in this one, I honestly would just start the post-game show as the game started, and we would just be already talking about a loss. But I think with Jaden, you know, anything's possible, and he hasn't played to quite the same level that we saw at the end of last year yet, but I do think that since he came back from the first injury, I think he was playing at a higher level. You think about that second half against the Chargers, that looked like the Jaden Daniels we saw down the stretch last year. And if the JD5 that played at a top 5 level last year shows up, I'll take my chances against anybody. With a terrible defense, with lackluster playmakers, doesn't really matter. If JD5's on his game, they got a chance against anybody.
So the big issue that we've seen over the last 3 weeks is the run game just been horrible. Seattle's got, best run defense in the NFL. Is this one of those nights where you're throwing to set up the run? Because I do know that Seattle's pass defense not very good, 23rd in the NFL. I have no confidence. The more and more we're about an hour away from kickoff, I'm as least confident as I've been all week right now, because it's a tough matchup, man. I don't think the rest of the country is aware just how good Seattle is.
Yeah, I saw this week that teams are passing the ball 65% of the time against Seattle because they know they can't run it. Ideally, you could get some screens going, but the screen game hasn't necessarily been the most effective this year. It feels like Cliff likes to have the screen game, but I don't know that any screen plays have really popped this year or last year that much. So you'd like to see something like that, but I think it is one of those nights, Lynnell, where your run game probably isn't going to be traditional turn around and hand it off to Bill. I think it's going to be quick screens, bubbles, and fans are going to maybe get frustrated. Like, why are you doing that for 2 yards? Well, that's your run game tonight. Like, that's the way that you're going to try to stay ahead of schedule. Because if you're going to try to run the ball up the middle, it's just not going to be very effective. But I think they can still find some ways. I mean, anytime you have Jaden under center, there is an added element with the quarterback run game, although I need to see him make better decisions on some of those read options, something he's really struggled with that Mariota excels at, and I think that's why sometimes you see some of those things take off when Mariota's in the game, although the passing game's never the same. But yeah, they've got to try to find some sort of thing that they can rely on to at least get them a couple of yards and stay ahead of the chains.
The screen game has been such a gut punch, it feels like, this entire year, and a lot of it is because the receivers on the outside aren't blocking. I'm kind of good if I never see Chris Moore in a position where he needs to block on a screenplay. Or just period for that matter. But he does not excel in those instances, in those positions. Treylon Burks, I'm expecting to see on the field in some capacity tonight. Are you of the belief that Treylon Burks is a diamond in the rough? Are you part of the Burke Hive?
The Burke Hive.
I kind of think there's something there. Now, I think his type of play is a little redundant with Debo, because I think he can do a lot of the stuff that Debo does, not to the level that Debo has, but also Debo hasn't looked quite like himself the last couple of weeks, but he's more a run after the catch versus a polished route runner. But I'm intrigued to see if they can get him the football and just let him make stuff happen after the catch, because he's a big dude. I mean, you watch him at Arkansas. This is a guy that can move. So I'm intrigued by this, and I don't know that you're going to see him suddenly step in and be wide receiver 1 or anything crazy. And anybody that's expecting too much is probably going to be disappointed. But I'm at least a little intrigued by what he can give this offense.
Yeah, so you mentioned the screen game. I think that's offensively what I'm looking to see get going tonight. And it's not the wide receiver screen; it's the running back screen. Something that they haven't really had a lot of attempts at this year. Jeremy McNichols over the past 3 weeks has really had a big uptick in productivity. I think he's really good in pass protection. I think he deserves more snaps. Denton asked this earlier to Kevin. Are you out on the Bill train, but is the Bill train, do we have a flat tire, or is the metal rusting, I guess, on the Bill train, or is this just this offensive line not creating lanes and holes?
Doc mentioned last week on the postgame show that he felt like he was running a little bit tentative with some of the fumbling issues. My eye's not as tuned as his to be able to notice specifically that, but if Doc is saying it, then maybe there is a little bit something there, because you still see when you hand him the football, it feels like he's going to be able to wiggle and then get through. Like, you still see the stuff that we saw, but he's not breaking the runs like he did earlier in the year. So I don't want to give up on Bill, but I do think, to your point, Jeremy McNichols does deserve some more run. Like, he is, when he's gotten touches, he's been dynamic the last couple of weeks. Not saying he deserves like 20 touches or anything crazy like that, but I'm not giving up on Bill. But if you do need to reallocate some of those touches, I think McNichols does deserve some of those.
You know, people have been blaming the offensive line for the Bills' struggles, and I feel like that's sometimes such a cop-out.
Also, he's so good outside the tackles versus inside the tackles.
And they're running him inside the tackles.
Like if
get him outside.
If you look at the discrepancy on his yards per carry, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it's like right around 3 or less than 3 inside the tackles. And at one point, it was like 10 yards per carry outside. I think now it's gone down a little bit, but it's still like 6 or 7 yards per carry outside. So you've got to find a way to get him outside the tackles, get him in some space, and then you can see him be effective like he was earlier this year.
How defensively do they kind of stifle this offense from Seattle?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's it. Like, you look at the rest of their weapons, with the exception of Kenneth Walker, they're unimpressive, especially now that Cooper Kupp's not going to play tonight. Torrey Horton is someone that, if we get done with tonight and they've held JSN in check, Torrey Horton might get going. Anybody that watched that Colorado State game from a couple of years ago knows that name. Torrey Horton made a name for himself in that one, so don't be surprised if he has a couple big plays tonight. But honestly, everything in their offense runs through JSN. Like, Zach Charbonnet is not efficient when he runs the football. Cooper Kupp was their second leading receiver, and he was like 530 yards less than JSN, and he's not playing tonight. So it's all going to really depend on finding a way to slow down Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, no one's ever figured out how to do that this year,
right?
So I don't know that you're going to be able to fully take him out of it. But defensively, that's your number one focus. Just don't let him take over the game. If he finishes the day and he's got like 10 catches for 70 or 80 yards, you live with that. You can't let him have the 8 or 9 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. You just got to contain him, and I'll take my chances, because they're also a little bit turnover prone offensively. And if you put Sam Darnold in a situation where he's got to bring this team back, and he's better than what the overall reputation still is, I think, but it's still Sam Darnold after all. They're still in there a little bit of some of that mistake prone. So just focus on JSN in any way possible, slow him down.
So I'm going to keep it on the Washington defense. One, how likely do you think it is they can replicate the first half from Kansas City? And then you mentioned Seattle and what they do offensively. The explosive plays for them is really what worries me. But the run game, we've been saying this all pregame show, they're terrible at running the football, but they're committed to it more than any other team in the National Football League. Do you think Washington has the ability to make them one-dimensional, or do their run game struggles outside of the tackles continue?
I think they'll be able to contain their run game. I'm worried about K9 breaking off one. Charbonnet doesn't really worry me all that much, even though he's going to frustrate some fantasy owners and probably pop in at the goal line and steal a touchdown away from K9 at some point. But I'm not overly worried about the run game. Again, it's finding a way. You mentioned the first half against Kansas City. I think the easiest way to describe the difference was in the first half last week, you watched any time the ball was thrown at the line of scrimmage or right around it, there was someone flowing downhill. And specifically, the guy that popped in the first half to me was Jeremy Reeves. He was getting downhill, hitting guys right away. In the second half, that wasn't the case. They'd throw the ball around the line of scrimmage, and guys are picking up 10 yards before they're even getting touched. I need to see that same sort of intensity. I don't know how you scheme it up. That's not really my expertise. But that intensity and that urgency that they showed in the first half last week, they got to look at every game on the rest of their schedule as must win, basically. So I need to see that same sort of effort coming out of the gate and continuing out of halftime as well, because you didn't see it last week.
All right, Toby, who wins?
Oh, it's tough. I think because Jaden Daniels is under center, I'm going to believe in the Burgundy and gold. They're rocking the old unis. They're retiring Art Monk's number. I think it's only right that Washington finds a way to win this one. I think the defense finds a way to slow down JSN a little bit. He's probably going to still go for 70 or 80 yards, but if you can hold him under that crazy number that we've seen him have in past weeks, then I think they've got a chance. Let's go 24-21 Washington. Jaden Daniels leads this team to a victory, and we're talking about can they still be alive in the playoff hunt next week?
All right, I will take it, Toby. A win is a win. He is Toby Altizer. Coming up next, Grant Paulson going to join us live from the stadium with Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy Gold pregame show. We're asking the potentially billion-dollar questions in these studios. 50 Cent is at Commanders Park or Northwest Stadium. He's a New York guy. He's pretty famously a New York guy, but he's rocking Commanders gear. I don't know if there's a connection there. Is he one of the 36,000 owners?
He might be somebody that's just rocking the gear just us, man.
I mean,
if you press your teeth together, you can do a pretty good 50 Cent impersonation.
I'll leave that to you. That's going to come off wrong if I do
Well,
it.
no, it won't, Denton. Come on. You know you have
But he's
a permanent invitation.
He's a rich man. He's made a lot more money after music than music. So he might be one of the investors. We'll see if our guy Grant Paulson knows. He's out there at the stadium hanging out, having a good time.
Grant's gotta be
GP, what's up, man? Have you talked to 50 Cent? Do you know why he's out there?
I know he's got to be a huge 50 Cent stan. I know that for sure.
I am absolutely a mark. I don't know why he's here. I'm glad he is, though. It may be because he wanted to be at the best uniform matchup in the National Football League in 2025. I got to tell you guys, sitting here in the press box right now, and the Commanders are wearing their alternates that they'll wear 3 times this season. They look like the Washington Redskins for the first time since 2/2/22. And, of course, the Seahawks are in their Jim Zorn era, their Steve Largent throwbacks, which I think are maybe the best look in the National Football League. So if you're watching in high definition tonight on pristine television, you're going to enjoy yourself.
Grant, I'm excited about the matchup, or excited about the game, worried about the matchup. To me, the most important thing for Washington defensively tonight is to not let Seattle's run game get going. They're one of the worst rushing offenses in the National Football League, but they are committed to it. They're already hard to stop. Sam Darnold's had a good year with them being pretty one-dimensional. If they get that going, they become virtually unstoppable. Your confidence level in Washington being able to neutralize them there?
So I don't love Washington being able to stop Seattle's run game tonight, because what the Seahawks have done really well recently with Kenneth Walker's run to the outside. You look at percentages of carries outside the tackles, he's one of the more frequently used running backs in outside carries this season, and it's what Washington, really since Wise went down and with their defensive end problems, have really struggled to stop defensively. So therein lies the issue, as far as I'm concerned, with the run game. Now, if Seattle wants to run power and get between the tackles and do some of the things that they've done between the guards, I think the Commanders will hold up well, as they have most of the year, with Javon Kinlaw and Daron Payne eating up space in the interior. But Seattle, as the year's gone on, I think has had a little more success getting to the outside. You see teams like Atlanta give Washington fits with that over the last couple of years. So I'd expect a lot of Walker bouncing runs and into space. When you get these linebackers moving, that's the problem. Frankly, though, the run game should be the lesser of two evils tonight. Jackson Smith and Jigba's leading the NFL in receiving yards. Sam Darnold's playing at a really high level. He extends plays and has been very accurate down the field and has made a ton of big-time throws. That, to me, is the bigger concern with this secondary.
Grant, I've seen some videos of Jaden Daniels at the stadium. Can you confirm he's not wearing a knee brace tonight, is he?
So I've not seen him up close, but just watching him right now from a distance, I would say that that's accurate from what I can tell. Don't have the binoculars right now, but yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It seems like maybe his first game knee braceless. But he's healthy. I mean, look, he's missed time this season with the knee, with the hamstring. They've been very careful about not playing him when he's not 100%, and they clearly think he's going to be able to find fifth gear tonight and give them everything they need. He's going to have to make plays in the run game. He's going to have to be dynamic. There were times last year where they went into matchups and they were the second-best team on the field, and they would win because Jaden Daniels would drag them into the fight and eventually kind of pull them to a win. Tonight's going to have to be one of those games, it feels like, against a Seattle team that's number 3 in yards per play on both sides of the ball. There's very few teams in the league over the last several years that finish top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense. And the Seahawks, who I think people sleep on, are on their way to doing that potentially.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. Jaden Daniels, Grant, I think tonight is a really big opportunity for him in terms of just kind of rewriting what the story has been for him this year. I think he's played at a B-plus level. I think we haven't seen him tap in to that offensive rookie of the year enough when he has been healthy. Your expectations for him tonight in a tough matchup?
I think it's a really hard matchup, Lynnell, to your point, because of some of the things that Seattle does well. But I actually sneaky think Washington's going to be able to move the football through the air as this game goes on. The Seahawks, particularly in the middle of the field, give up some big chunks, some big plays. So I think you could hit them occasionally if they're able to work on some things out of play action, digs, crossers, the Deebo Samuel perhaps. Not having Terry McLaurin down the field is going to hurt. You heard Cliff Kingsbury this week talking about the lack of vertical passing game, and the fact that they haven't found a guy that can really give them what he expected Terry and Noah Brown to be able to. Feels like Jalen Lane should be that guy, but they don't yet really have a whole lot of confidence in him to do that. So I think if they're going to move the football successfully, it's going to have to be, hitting something down the field early to open things up. They'll get back to running the football a little more effectively, hopefully tonight with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. That's been the big story on offense, guys, is that the last 3 weeks, what was the number one rushing offense in the league has really struggled, starting with the Bears game, surprisingly. And in some matchups, frankly, where statistically you're playing against teams you should have run it on. But I think Daniels will play very well. I don't have major reservations about that. He needs to, as we talked about. But he's healthy, he's rested, he's fresh. And while you don't have Terry McLaurin, you do have Deebo Samuel. You've got your offensive line healthy. He's got his tight end room ready to go. I don't think there's a good reason why, even though it's a tough matchup against a good defense, he can't go out there and play a strong football game.
Has the running issue that has plagued Washington over the past couple of weeks more about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or more about the offensive line?
I don't think it has a whole lot to do with Bill at all, if I'm being honest. If you look at the percentage of times that he's been hit at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield, it's skyrocketed over the last few weeks. Are there times, and he comes on with Danny and I every Tuesday at 5, and he said there's a few runs where he thinks he could have broken a tackle or done something to help his guys out. I'm sure that's true. If you look at missed tackles forced, he was definitely doing more of that earlier in the season. I think that's because those numbers often come at the second and third levels when you got a full head of steam in space. But that said, let's say, he hasn't done quite as much at the line of scrimmage as he did earlier with the jump cuts. I think he's getting hit way sooner. I don't think there's been nearly as much operating space. They're getting Sam Cosmi back up to speed. This will be his third game. Hopefully it'll be his best game since he returned. Thought he had a real rough one when he came back and was a little better last week, so that could be key to that. But this has been a systematic failure in terms of running the football, I think, less about Bill himself. And I think that's why you haven't seen them go away from him. It's not like, after a couple of weeks where he got 95% of the carries, they decided we don't see what we need to. We're going to go to our other backs. It's not like Chris Rodriguez has been more involved or they've gotten Jeremy McNichols the ball more. I think they know this isn't really about Bill. This has been about everything else.
I agree. I think John Bates and Ben Sinnott can wear some of that as well. Just having issues targeting right now in the run game. It doesn't get much easier tonight. A big picture question for you, Grant. If, capital IF, ... If they win tonight, your interest in them being buyers at the deadline?
Buyers would be zero. I would have no interest in that. I mean,
even if a deal comes along where you can acquire a guy that'll be here for several seasons, specifically at edge.
Well, look, anytime you can get a long-term solution, I'm all ears. I mean, that's a little different, I would say, than what is normally traditional and realistic. But I would say I would still be inclined to turn that down right now in season and wait till the off season. I mean, Lynnell, the bottom line is, there's 2 or 3 teams in the NFC with a worse record than them right now. Now, if you get a win, things look up for the moment. You've got Detroit coming in here next, coming off of a loss, which is going to be a really, really tough game next week. And I think you can always put a black T-shirt on and suck in and look in the mirror and tell yourself everything's okay. But sometimes you got to step on that scale and be pretty realistic with yourself too. I'm getting very, very real with you guys for a moment. Not that I have any experience with this or anything, but I mean, this has not been a team for half of a football season that should be in a position where they're adding. And I also think there's a larger conversation to have here, which is how many more picks you want to give up. I mean, you made the fewest draft picks in the league last year. You're on pace to do something very similar to that this year. So I don't know how much you can't keep saying you're going to be a draft and develop organization and make that the norm, right? So no, I would not be a buyer by any means. Should they sell or not? I guess tonight would have something to do with that. But I'll also say this really quickly, guys. I just don't think selling's realistic either. That's, it happens in baseball. Most teams in the NFL are not binary making that decision and moving pieces. I think they probably just stand pat and keep chopping wood.
Grant, who is going to be the best wide receiver for Washington tonight? Who do you think has the best game?
Well, it better be Deebo Samuel. I mean, man, do they need more out of him. Early in the year, the offense went through him, Denton, and he was fantastic. Through a month, maybe even 5-6 weeks, he was one of the 5 to 7 best weapons in the conference in terms of just overall value and the import to the offense, not just when he had the ball, but when he didn't. And over the last few weeks, starting with a game where I thought his heel really bothered him against Chicago. He obviously missed a game subsequently against Dallas. And then this past week against Kansas City, he has not really played at the same level. He doesn't look quite the same to me with the burst and the explosiveness. So I'm hoping that he is a little closer to himself and that he can be Debo tonight. Some of it's usage, too. They just haven't had an opportunity to get him the ball in space downhill. Had he not have dropped the interception last week on the screen that was pretty well designed and blocked, where he would have been one-on-one and had a chance to rip off a big gain, maybe a touchdown. But I think it's kind of twofold. The chances haven't been there, and maybe he hasn't quite been himself. So it's got to be him. The sneaky play I like tonight, though, I do think Jalen Lane catches a ball down the field. I think, if you look at one of these numbers on sports books where you can get him at over certain yards on his longest catch, I think there's a play in here somewhere where he's catching something 20-plus tonight. I like him to hit an explosive.
All right, Grant, how do you think this one ultimately plays out? Is Washington still alive after tonight, or do you think the season is slowly coming to an end?
So I'm picking the Seahawks in the game. I just think they're better. This is a really well-coached, terrific team. I mentioned they're number 3 on offense and on defense, and they're the number 1 rush defense in the league. And so I could see them putting the Commanders behind the sticks and making life difficult on Jaden Daniels. But I got to say, the closer I get to kickoff, as much all week as I talked about how arduous a matchup this is, I don't know why. I got a little tingle. The better I'm feeling about Daniels playing really well. And it just feels like Washington's due, too. I mean, how many weeks are you going to go in a row before they play a really good football game? So I'm picking the Seahawks, but if you told me right now they play their game of the year and come out inspired and roll it, that would not shock me either. But I'm going to say, for the sake of putting it in pen, I'll say 30-27 Seattle.
All right.
Grant, appreciate
Acceptable.
the time as always, my friend. Enjoy it out there. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Grant.
All right, boys. Have a good show. See ya.
That is Grant Paulson. He was live from Northwest Stadium. Our next guest, also live from Northwest Stadium, our guy Chris Russell.
Oh, you
will
mean he
join
left
us
the
next.
house?
I mean, he's literally just going to the other side of the press box to get some information on this one. Rooster joins us next. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy and Gold pregame show. Under 30 minutes away from kickoff, a big one for Washington. They need to get to 4-5. 3-6 would be tough. Chris Russell joins us to preview this one now. You can hear him every Monday through Friday on the Chris Russell Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern on the Team 980. Roost, how we feeling about this one as we're about 30 minutes away?
Yeah, what's up, fellas? How are you? I would say, look, I mean, nothing is impossible in this league by any means. Can they win this? Sure. They've got to do a lot of things right that they did in the first half last week that they did not do at all in the second half. They've got to play clean football, no or one turnover. And if they're going to turn the ball over once, they probably have to generate 3 takeaways, a +2 takeaway margin. Can't screw up on any special teams, no missed field goals, none of that stuff. Can't put yourself constantly behind the sticks in terms of penalties, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. Because against this front, you're going to be in trouble because I don't expect them to be able to run, and that includes Jaden.
It's amazing that we're having Chris Last, the ruler of realism. That's your new nickname, is what I'm calling you. The ruler.
the ruler of realism. See, now, Lynnell, you can put that one on a T-shirt. You haven't stolen that from anybody.
You know what? There are a lot of things that I say that are not stolen.
JP Finley says hi, by the way, as he scarfs down a 6th piece of chicken.
Well, love that
Lizzie's
for him.
too? I know JP's food reviews are my favorite thing on Instagram. You can tell us that.
JP?
Den says your food reviews are his favorite thing on social media.
This is the best chicken I've ever had.
He says this is the best chicken he's
Hold
ever had.
JP, for a group of people that always say that I like to exaggerate things, JP calling press box chicken the best chicken he's ever had is an absolute joke.
Well, no, he qualified and said at FedEx Field.
Okay,
that doesn't mean
there we go.
Any other stadium. That doesn't mean
very specific.
Very specific to here. He said.
Chris, how does tonight influence Tuesday at 4:00?
I mean, look, logically, if you're 4-5, I don't think you. I think certain guys that you may have been considering, maybe Deron Payne, maybe Deebo Samuel, guys like that you may have considered would be probably off the table at 4-5. But if you're 3-6, look, guys, I know lots of things can happen in an NFL season. I got it. I mean, Robert Griffin's rookie year, they were 3-6 at the bye and came out and never lost a game the rest of the regular season, right? So, I mean, anything can happen. I get that. Is it likely to happen? No. So, to me, if you're 3-6 and you're looking at Tuesday's deadline, I'm making just, not everybody, but many people available. Now, the question is whether you want to help me out. And that, people talk about just getting draft picks. Oh, get draft picks. And certainly that makes sense. But, it is legal to trade for another player and to get somebody for, an area that you might be short, edge pass rusher, veteran receiver, all the areas that we constantly talk about.
You mentioned veteran receiver. They have, I guess you could call Treylon Burks a veteran in that he's not a rookie. What are fair expectations for a guy that really underperformed in Tennessee? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not stretching by saying this is the first legitimate quarterback he's probably ever played with, right?
Definitely.
I mean, certainly star quarterback. Now, whether Jaden plays like a star tonight, we'll see. But, supposedly he had a great week in practice, as you guys know. I mean, we don't get to see, the reporters don't get to see more than, the first 15 minutes. But I know Kime quoted a coach as saying that he was really sharp in and out of his breaks and so on and so forth. So he's going to get an opportunity. He's a first-round pick, right? I mean, let's be honest. How could it be any worse than it's kind of been? No Terry, no Noah Brown. I mean, McCaffrey had made that beautiful sideline catch the other night, but he's a 1 or 2 catch a game guy. Jalen Lane is still, I think, struggling to learn how to be a receiver on this level, inside, outside. He's obviously not squeezed a couple of passes. Chris Moore gets open all the time, doesn't catch them all the time, and he's gotten better. So to me, I think Treylon Burks has an excellent opportunity to make an immediate impact, especially in that intermediate area where Jaden actually has been pretty good. I was looking at some numbers. He's second in the NFL in pass catchable ball rate, whatever that metric is, from 10 to 19 yards. So, to me, that's a Traylon Burks area that they should be able to exploit against this a largely zone defense in Seattle.
Chris, tonight, they got to be able to keep him upright. If they can, I think that is how they move the football, is through the air. But this D-line of Seattle is really good. They get after you with 4. You know what my concern lies? It's in the interior with Biotish and Cosme and Chris Paul. Probably their stiffest matchup of the season, talking about the combination of Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams. Your confidence in those 3 guys to have a night?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to sit here and say I have a lot of confidence. I mean, and that's not because they suck or they're not good. That's because those guys you mentioned, I mean, you think about Murphy, right? People in Seattle were calling him a bust after a year, and now he's got, 4.5, 5 sacks, whatever it is, this year, and that's just one part of, and they were already strong in that area to begin with, and then they go out and get DeMarcus Lawrence, right? So, I mean, if you add DeMarcus Lawrence and Byron Murphy now in his second year is ascending, Leonard Williams, we know how good of a career he's been, and others, they can rotate, they can keep fresh, they can play 6 or 7 guys regularly and plenty of snaps and wear you down. And, we don't know with Tunsil how long the hamstring is going to hold up, never mind on the interior, where, as you mentioned correctly, Lynnell, they've had some issues. There is no doubt about that. And think about it. When this offense kind of went somewhat sour in the running game, went somewhat sour last year in the second half of the season, where did they struggle? Up the middle, guard to guard, right? Yep. Especially. Here, it kind of feels like we're here again.
Here's Johnny.
Maybe we're not exactly here, but we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Do you think that means that we'll see more outside runs? Because it does feel like that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is much better on the outside.
I hope so, D-Day. I mean, I know everybody's been calling for it, but, earth to cliff, there's nothing wrong with, like, a toss pitch. Now, if you're going to argue that a toss pitch is harder to execute because, the pitch itself has to be really good and you've got to hit it on the run and get downhill, and Bills have some ball security. I do buy that as a reason why, but to me, you don't have to just toss pitch it. You can just literally run outside zone, especially out of the gun, like line Bill up on the right side of Jaden, have him cross face and go, outside of the left tackle and try and go out and get out in space. That at least gives you maybe an opportunity for him to turn his hips and to get his vision looking forward instead of trying to find it in a mass of bodies where everything's kind of caving in on you. Maybe that helps you. And if you think about it, the Charger game, he had the 2 touchdown runs to the outside left edge. The Bengals preseason game on the Monday night, he had the touchdown run to the outside right edge. There was another touchdown to the edge, I want to say against the Giants. Maybe it was against the Giants in the season opener, or one of those games where it was another edge run. So, like, what? Let's go. Stop beating your head against the wall, and let's start getting him out on the perimeter and hope that loosens some things up in the interior.
One thing
the interior.
One thing that we saw a little bit in the postseason, and you saw it sprinkled in a few times throughout the regular season, Cliff Kingsbury's got a creative bag of trick plays. Are we at the point in the season? Are they desperate enough to do whatever they have to do to move the football?
I am. I don't know if they feel they are, but I mean, I've been calling for like a flea flicker for,
something.
Or I mean, for weeks now. Let's go. To me, even if it doesn't work out, right? And I talk about this all the time. Traditional garden variety go deep. I would always, on the first 2 series of the game, and usually the first series of the game, say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice a down here, if nothing else. Maybe I'll hit one, but I'm going to sacrifice a down here to throw a deep post or a deep vertical or a deep sideline go, just to let them know that I'm there. Just to let them know that they can't crowd the line of scrimmage. Just to let them know that if they cheat a little bit, I'm going to expose their asses. And I would do that in every game, in every situation, no matter who the opponent, no matter who the wide receivers were or weren't, no matter who the quarterback is. This team doesn't always do that. They don't do that a lot. I would do that tonight because if there is a weakness on this defense, it's probably Reek Willingham and the safeties and not necessarily Witherspoon, but if you can establish that early, right, and maybe it comes in the form of a trick play, but it doesn't even again have to be a trick play. Just make them know you're there. Make them know that you will go to it. Make them know that they have to defend the entire field instead of jumping and crawling up the line of scrimmage and trying to stuff everything underneath.
All right, Roos, 2 wins. Does Washington get to 4-5?
I wish I could tell you I was confident in that. No, I've got I got the Seahawks winning. I'll say 24-17.
All right, 24-17.
Very modest, Chris.
A misery Monday, and that means you're taking calls on who they're going to trade on Monday. Roos, appreciate it as always.
I can't wait. Yay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I know.
fellas. Appreciate you.
Perfect. That is Chris Russell. He is the host of the Chris Russell Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern, every Monday through Friday on the Team 980. When we get back, it's time for our predictions. We're 15 minutes away from kickoff in Landover, Washington, looking to get to 4-5 on the year. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. It's the Burgundy and Gold pregame show. 10 minutes away from kickoff. He's
cute,
Lynnell
Chris.
Willingham. I'm Denton Willingham. I'm Denton Day. You feeling any better?
Yeah.
This is a must-have.
In the
for
club is
Washington.
on.
In the
So
club. Yeah. That's where I be.
That's where you reside?
Totally.
In the club where we're all fam?
And we're all fam in the club.
Look, admittedly,
These uniforms are glorious.
they
by the
are.
way.
I admit that, like, even in high school, in middle school, like, when we lost, like, I would be sad the next day. Like, I wouldn't want to talk because my uncle would always, like, tease me. He was a Cowboys fan. I'm on the verge of, like, being emotionally, like, in a wreck about the team because I thought the days of our season being over before Thanksgiving were over. I didn't think we would come back here.
Is it any consolation, though, that you can understand how they got here? Where it is a lot of injuries and your second best player isn't playing. Your best player hasn't played in 3 of the games. Like I learned last week, and we knew this, but it was confirmation that Marcus Mariota is, in fact, a backup quarterback, and that's it. And that's all that he is probably ever going to be the rest of the way in the NFL. He's not a starter, so that to me is fine. Jaden, if they lose today and they get punked the way that they did last week with Jaden Daniels playing, I will be sad.
I think,
especially because Drake May played really well, Caleb Williams played really well, Michael Penix played really well, and McCarthy played really well.
We're kind of viewing, some people are living in this alternate reality with year 2 of Jaden Daniels and how it's looked. I'll continue to say that it's B+. Giants game was inconsistent, but they got the dub, so like it wasn't really looked at. Remember, all we were talking about on the pregame going into the Packers is that in that Giants game, 4 out of their final 5 drives ended in 6 plays or less. Mm-hmm. Like they've gone through these stretches, man, where they have just no consistency on the offensive side of the football. Penalties, guys missing blocks. Jaden is supposed to be the eraser of all.
He is
things.
effectively. This is going to be such a nerdy thing, but he is effectively the sensu bean. You are broken down, you are hurt, and Jaden comes and he saves the day.
Say that again.
You're not a Dragon Ball Z.
A sensu bean.
A sensu bean. I got the Dragon Ball Z hat on, but that's effectively what he is. He heals everything. Doesn't matter how beat up you are elsewhere. Jane Daniels is in the game, and he is the healer of all. That's a lot of pressure to put on a guy. They tried their best to not make that the case this year, but that has been a little out of their hands.
Well, it is what it is what I would say. And look, he's up for it. I think he's totally up for it. It's just hard to do it without your horses, right? You're rolling out there with these backups, and I know we have this unwavering belief that he can upgrade everybody. I think he can. Tonight, I need to see. I have not seen vintage Jaden Daniels yet this year. I haven't. Where it's 60 yards rushing, 225 yards passing on, 20 of 29 and 2 touchdowns. Like, I need that elite performance from him because we haven't seen it yet this year. And tonight, season on the line, essentially.
And it felt like we were seeing it a couple weeks ago in Chicago, and then the fumble.
And then he fumbled and threw that.
We kind of saw it a little bit against Los Angeles, but not in the first half. It was more so in the second half. So I get what you're saying. He's not wearing a brace today. That has now been confirmed. We see it. He is not wearing a brace. I wonder how much of a difference that is going to make, if not anything, maybe just mentally, because it always felt like to me when he had the brace on, there was a mental component to the brace of him being held back. He's not an RPO guy the way that Marcus Mariota is, so I don't know that they're going to run a lot of the RPO stuff that they were. I mean, Mariota's a pro with that. He kind of revolutionized that a little bit in college. So, like, that is his bread and butter. But I need to see Jane Daniels be smart, like really, really smart. He has to be borderline, perfect tonight for Washington, and that includes some of the keys that I had mentioned earlier in the show, which is you got to have positive plays on first down.
Need it.
You can't be in second and long. Damn sure can't be in third and long. Give yourself opportunities to go for it on 4th down if necessary, which they just have not done a lot of this year.
No, they have not. I definitely think Cliff shares a large responsibility in the offense doing well tonight, too. Putting Jaden Daniels in position to have success, getting him in rhythm early in this football game, and then just being more aggressive. Trying to take some more shots down the field, the screen game, so on and so forth, window dressing things. Like, we haven't seen Deebo Samuel as a traditional back as often. And I know he's a little bit nicked up and it feels like he's lacking juice. Tonight they got to have it on offense.
They have
I can deal with the defense. I've mentally, trained myself to be able to withstand the defense not being very good.
Yeah.
But if the offense is not going to live up to the expectations that we've set for them, even though they're down a couple of guys, but the quarterback's there tonight, then we got to recalibrate our expectations for the rebuild.
Throw to 13 too. Let's see it. Like if we're gonna do all this talk about Treylon Burks and him being
That was
the
very
diamond
matter
in
of
the
fact
rough,
of you.
throw to him. Like let's.
Yeah.
What else are we gonna continue wasting time on guys that either can't catch or can't get open? At the very least, Treylon Burks is a Pandora's box if we have no idea what the hell he actually is. So at least give him a couple of opportunities to restore a little bit of his confidence. Lord knows it was not at a high level in Tennessee. It's impossible to be at a high level in Tennessee.
He never
the
had
way-
a quarterback. So I'll
No,
give
he's
him
playing
that.
with like Will Levis. Yuck. Gross. That guy drinks mayonnaise in his coffee, and you expect him to be good? I can't see that. So I want to see.
It's Matthew Berry picking a loan against
That's
with the
fine.
Commanders.
I want to see him get involved. If that's going to be, if they're going to bring him out here, get him involved. I traditionally don't like the number 13, but if 13 is scoring some touchdowns, let's see what 13 has. I can't imagine that the Cliff offense is so unbelievably complex that he can't understand it for the time that he has now been here on the practice squad and getting to learn it. So let's get him involved because it has to be better than some of the guys that we have seen. I cannot stand any more drops.
Yeah, drops have to go. Self-inflicted wounds as a whole with this offense, to me, just has to go. It's been what's so frustrating about this group. And every Thursday, I mean, it's become appointment listening, talking about Cliff and Joe at the podium.
I mean, by the way, if Zach Ertz drops another pass, I don't want any more veteran rest days. Get your ass out there to practice. If you're dropping passes, catch the football. No, I mean, look,
Well
man,
said.
they did it again this week where he gets a veteran rest day, and I get it. He's old, but catch the football.
I think the veteran rest day probably includes some jug work. I would assume, right?
I would hope so.
I get where
Better.
you're coming from with that, but that's like my thing with last week and why Debo Samuel like almost maybe just want to step on his toes with a cleat. Like our best players can't be the guys screwing us.
And you have to be
You know?
practicing.
Yeah,
It's a novel concept. You get better at football by practicing football. I don't care if you're old. You got to be locked in here.
yeah, and yeah.
And it's
What's
not
that?
just Ertz, by the way, but he has been dropping passes the way that everybody else has.
I believe he leads the Commanders in drops.
And the Commanders are leading the NFL. If they're not leading the NFL, they're pretty darn close to leading the NFL. I mean, they were leading the NFL entering Monday Night Football last week, and then they dropped like 4 passes in Monday Night Football. So unless somebody had a really awful day today in the NFL, the Commanders are the number one team in drop passes. That is not a statistic that you want to be top of the market in. By the way, Marshawn Lattimore doing the pregame speech as captain.
Is there video?
There is video.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah,
That's a guy that I know can actually fire them up. I think there's a lot of respect for him in that locker room, despite what we all think on the outside. I think they're like, he's one of the leaders of this team.
It looks like he has the do-rag headband combo going on there. I'm
getting to the Commanders' social media as quickly as oh, my Lord. I'm ready to go. Can we pick?
Yeah, let's pick.
Let's do
pick.
it. That's the irrational confidence that I needed. It was Marshawn Lattimore getting the team.
All right, give me a pick then.
They have to have it. I think it is a vintage Jaden Daniels performance. I think he runs for 60 yards. I think he throws for 225 yards. I think he throws for 2 touchdowns. I think Washington finds a way to win because of the defense. I think the plan tonight should be to heat Sam Darnold up. I also think Javon Kinlaw and Deron Payne have an advantage on the inside. Make Gray Zabel your little
brother.
Your little brother. You know, make him lesser. Make him less than, right? Make him look like a not good football player, even though he is pretty good. But they're bigger and nastier and girthier on the inside. So, like, just get after it. Give me the good guys 23-21.
So close one.
Close one.
Over doesn't hit with you. I'm going to take the over
Okay.
today. I'm feeling all right. When Jane Daniels is playing, I feel good. We got a commenter saying that we're relying on the old Jane Daniels. Yeah, we are relying on the old Jane Daniels. I don't care what coordinators on other teams are doing. I trust in my quarterback enough to know that he was better than a lot of people last year. And I want to see the better version of Jaden Daniels tonight. I don't think that's an unfair, unrealistic thing, an expectation to have. I expect a guy to get better from his rookie year to his sophomore year. There just hasn't been consistency because of the injuries. I want to see the old Jaden Daniels tonight. I want to see the Jaden Daniels that gets career games out of Olamide Zaccheaus and De'Ami. He got De'Ami Brown paid. Not a lot, but he got De'Ami Brown paid. I want to see that Jaden Daniels. I know it's in there. That's been the frustrating part of this entire season. I know that it's in there somewhere. We just have not been able to crack into that, and I think we see some element of that tonight for Washington. So I'm going to have a little bit more of a high-scoring performance from the Commanders, but I do think the Commanders win. I'm going to take them 28-24, so it gets that over at 48.5. Might have bet that. So I think Washington takes advantage of it, though, tonight. I think we see the best version of Jaden Daniels that we've seen so far, and maybe, just maybe, this Treylon Burks fella gets into the end zone, and I can go screaming and doing cartwheels in our studio here. We're going to be live at halftime as we are each and every week. It's going to be right here on YouTube and Twitter only, not on radio, but on YouTube and on Twitter. So follow the Team 980 and 106.7. Subscribe to them on YouTube. It's the only live commercial-free show during the game. So come hang out with us. We'll be live at postgame as well. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. They're running out onto the field. Let's get Washington to 4-5 here. Enjoy the game.